Welcome to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower, brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/your20-minute podcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now, here's your host, David Brower.
Thanks, Allan. This is David Brower with your 20-minute podcast. Our special guest today is Gary Hennerberg from the Dallas-Fort Worth area and author of the book Spinal Stenosis and Back Pain Relief, Treatments Reviewed. Gary, welcome. Glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit of wisdom about back pain treatment.
It's like an everyday conversation with, it seems like you run into somebody most every day that is having some kind of back issue. What prompted you to do this huge study and come up with roughly 36 pain relief procedures and of course, your book?
Well, I'm a spinal stenosis sufferer myself. I've been dealing with this for a number of years, and spinal stenosis is basically a narrowing in the spinal cord area, and what happens is it starts to put pressure on nerves, and it starts to result in all kinds of things. Some physicians might declare it to be problems with a herniated disc, or discs aren't working, or arthritis. Oftentimes you hear arthritis. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is that for anybody who deals with this, you're just pretty much in chronic pain in your back, and it tends to be one of those where it slowly comes on, and you slowly you start to think, well, I'm getting older, so therefore, right. It's just a part of the aging process, and while that is perhaps true up to a point. The fact of the matter is that this is a condition that hits so many people. And in fact, as I was doing my research, as I was writing my book, I found that the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons estimate that about 8 to 11% of anybody over the age of 50 is suffering with spinal stenosis.
Wow.
So when you look at the baby boomer generation of about 75 million people, it suggests there could be anywhere from 6 to 8 million people just age 50 plus who are living with spinal stenosis. And by the way, it strikes at any age. I know of a lot of people who deal with this already starting in their 20s, and it's just a horrible curse if you have to be living with this for the rest of your life.
It's genetic too, right?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
It might be for some people,
mm-hmm.
but my father had back pain, but not the kind of pain that I deal with just day in and day out.
Gotcha.
I pretty much how I look at life anymore is every day is a sort of my pain is on a 1 to 10 scale.
Yeah. And
if I have a day where my pain has only been at about a 4 or a 5, that's a really good day.
Gotcha.
And some days it's in that 7, 8, 9, place.
Yeah, I remember when I had kidney stones a couple of years ago, my pain level was at 15. And and they gave me everything imaginable to try to reduce that, And I can't even tell you all the drugs they tried to get into me. And finally they started to come down some, and she says, "So what's your pain level now?" I said, 10. Oh God. So yeah, and I've had lumbar spinal stenosis, so I know firsthand of what you speak. It's fascinating, all the research you've done.
There's the research, and of course it's just this quest I've been on to see if what I can find with
right.
to get relief. Typically what happens is you go to your doctor, and your doctor is sort of scratching his or her head, and they're saying, well, you got back pain, you got spinal stenosis, and there's just not much we can do about it. And they'll say, well, why don't you go try some physical therapy? Well, physical therapy is great for people who've had surgery and need rehabilitation. For me, it didn't work so well for helping with spinal stenosis. Then they'll say, well, why don't you have a epidural steroid injection, which does give relief. They're horribly expensive.
Yep.
But the relief is depending on the individual. It might be as much as 3 weeks. It may be 6 weeks. And at the cost of these things, it's crazy. And then you can step it up to facet joint injections and rhizotomies, and there's just so many other things out there. But what happens, I think, is that there's a lot of things that doctors that's what they know. That's their wheelhouse.
Sure, absolutely.
But and they can prescribe pain killers. But I mean, who really wants to start taking NSAIDs or opioids or anything
right.
like that?
No, that's right.
and then it becomes surgery. Well, what I found over the years is that there are so many other kinds of treatments that just are overlooked out there, and some emerging new treatments as well. There are the standard ones that most everybody will be familiar with, like going to a chiropractor. Well,
right.
Sure, that makes sense. But when you think about spinal stenosis and when you don't have joints, what happens is that you've got kind of bone on bone. And so I think I go to chiropractor at least once, if not twice a week, because I just want everything to be aligned. But it doesn't always necessarily give relief to something that's going on in the back.
Sure.
And there's massage, and there's a lot of things, but there are a lot of things people have not heard about. So a couple of examples that I would share. First of all, in kind of the medical arena, is there's this whole thing called platelet-rich plasma regenerative treatments. Now, I had one of those injections a few months ago, and it really helped me tremendously.
I'll be done.
Now, it's an injection, but here's what they do differently. Is they will take a blood draw from you. So you go in, they take about a half a cup of blood, just out of your arm, and then they put the blood in a centrifuge and spin it, and they do their magic to it. And what they do is they take the red blood platelets of your own, and they heavily concentrate it to up to about 40 times what it is just naturally in your body. And so after doing this for about 2, 3, 4 hours, then you go back in, and the doctor injects it, in this case injected into my lower back, because that's where I have my stenosis problems, and injected it. It took just 15, 20 minutes. It was extremely painful because there is no anesthetic, there's no knocking you out, nothing.
Oh, my God.
The needle goes in about 2 inches, and 9 different spots. I mean, it's very painful, but here's the thing. It helps. And it's sort of the cousin of stem cell treatments.
Okay.
But the thing is that stem cell treatments tend to work better, apparently, this is what I'm told, on people who are, say, under the age of roughly 40. And if you're over the age of 40, then stem cells don't work so well. So they do this instead. So it's been amazing. And a lot of people haven't heard about this.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Yeah. And then there are just some other things out there, a few things that I like to do. I tried acupuncture about 30 years ago, and I thought, oh, come on, this is, what is this? And I just didn't feel I got any relief. And then I tried it again, 15 years ago maybe, and I thought, well, yeah, okay, I don't know that it did anything for me. And finally, several months ago, in fact, about a year and a half ago, I guess at this point, I had a friend who said, oh, you've got to go see my acupuncture doctor. He is from China. He really is good. And I thought, okay, I am in so much pain, I can hardly function. I said, I'm no longer going to take these steroid injections because they just wonk me out. So I decided that I would give acupuncture a shot. I thought, I have nothing to lose at this point, right?
Right. That's
so
right.
I walk in, and I he does the exam, and then I have my first 30-minute acupuncture treatment. And I'll remember getting up thinking, well, I didn't expect to be pain-free, because that would have been totally unreasonable to have expected. But I thought, I feel different. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to commit to acupuncture about 4 days a week for the next month or two, and then 3 days a week, and so on and so forth, down to about once a week, which is what I've been doing now. And I find that acupuncture has given me a tremendous amount of relief. Now, it doesn't fix it.
Right.
There's nothing that fixes it. It just helps you manage it. So that's
and when you're in that
one.
much pain for that long, I mean, that's really the quest, isn't it, to figure out a way to manage it?
Yes, that is it. Management is probably the best you can hope for. In American culture, I've learned this because I'm around my Chinese doctor a lot. but in American culture, we Americans, we want things fixed.
Right.
Immediately. Oh my goodness, yes. And that's the reason we will say, yes, I want surgery. I want, I'll have all these things done, even though they're not a long-term solution, really. Right. And I've had surgery. I mean, I have screws and rods in my back from surgery back in 2010 because I was in so much pain.
Damn.
And it helped me, by the way, for about 5 years, and then it just wore off again. In about 2015, it all came roaring back because it just, above and below where I had the surgery is where
Gotcha.
it came me, And so there's but there's so many things out there that people are not aware of. Another one I'm going to share with you and your listeners is this one. I woke up. I had read an article in the newspaper about it and forgot about it. And then one morning I woke up and said, cryotherapy. Are you familiar with cryotherapy?
I'm not. I saw that on your list. I was going to ask you about that, and I was also going to ask you about rhizotomy. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, the rhizotomy. Yeah.
I've never heard of either one of those.
Okay, so I'll tell you about cryotherapy first. Yeah, cryotherapy is deep freezing. Okay, so what you do is there is this cylinder, for a lack of a better word, it's upright, that you go and you stand in. Now, you have to be completely undressed for it, because what happens is they blow this cold nitrogen air around you, and the temperature drops to about a minus 270 degrees.
Hello.
Yeah, it's a wake-up call. And you're
is that where
in
you
it.
Put me in the spaceship and send me to Mars?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So anyway, you go into this for about 3 minutes, 2.5, maybe 3 minutes, and it's of course so intensely cold that it shrinks the swelling in your back, and then it just and if you want, you can have a spot treatment on it at the place I go to, and it's very inexpensive. It's like $15.
Oh my gosh!
So I do that like once a week, and sometimes more. And there are other benefits that are claimed for cryotherapy that they say it burns about 1,000 calories because your body just goes into this immediate reaction with that kind of depth of cold temperatures.
Wow, that could be my new weight loss program.
I have to be honest, it hasn't exactly worked for me. That is on the weight loss, but I do feel it's really, really helped me on my back.
Yeah.
So I do like that one. And but you asked about the rhizotomy.
Yeah, rhizotomy. I'd never heard of that before.
So that's another medical procedure, and the procedure is basically that you go in and they burn the ends of the nerves off in your back.
Hello.
And it's an extremely expensive procedure. The insurance on that one, the procedure, the center and the doctor bill combined were over $14,000.
Oh my God.
Insurance said that they could only charge $7,000. Okay. So, you start doing the math, and if you're like me, I have an extremely high deductible. I have a $5,000 deductible on my health insurance, like most people do these days.
Yep.
And so,
we have a 10.
Yeah. You heard that all the time.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And so anyway, but yeah, that's the procedure. And the procedure takes 3 minutes. It's typical of a.
Wow.
But here's the thing, I did it, and it really, really helped me. I'm telling you, it really helped me. And so what was supposed to last for anywhere from 3 to 6 months lasted about 6 weeks.
Oh no, that's like an epidural shot.
Oh yeah, it was, but a more expensive version of it.
Exactly.
And insurance in this case said, well, you can only have 2 of these a year.
Oh, please.
And so you get into this whole problem with insurance and just the whole system.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason that I've really just become such an advocate of looking for alternatives. And and I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to your physician. I'm not saying you shouldn't try physical therapy or a rhizotomy or a steroid injection or any of these things. Because you probably should try some of those things.
Yeah.
But I believe that everybody's got to go into these wide open and realize that if you're going to do something like a rhizotomy, that it's probably pretty likely that your out-of-pocket expense is going to be completely what your deductible is, plus some.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah, and so if you are in a financial position to be able to do that, that is your personal choice. But at the same time, if you are able to go try cryotherapy for $15, and if you and where I go, you buy a package of 100 or 10 of them for $150, but that's also unlimited for a month if you want to do it that way.
Okay.
I went every day for 2 months, and it really shrunk everything down. And so kind of the bottom line is I went through this transition of things. I started in September of, what year was it? 2016, I guess is when it was. Yeah, 2016 is when I just gave up on the whole medical thing and said I'm going to do all these alternatives. And it took me, after 6 months, I felt I had really made substantial progress. Mm-hmm. And after, it was about 9 months, I started going back and doing aqua aerobics.
Done that, yep.
And I can do that. I could not have done that in the months prior to.
Yeah. And
so I'm actually able to do a lot of those things these days. And while I am not pain-free, my pain where I used to talk, where I talked a few minutes ago about, some days were 7, 8, 9, or in your case, 15.
Sure,
I've been able to take most of my days down to probably a 4 or a 5.
That's dramatic.
It's dramatic. It's just really, really dramatic. And I just wish so many people would get this message. And, I follow a couple of groups on Facebook that are dedicated to people with spinal stenosis. Mm-hmm. And I read what people are posting, and they're trying this drug, and they're trying this, thing. And I just feel for them because I know everybody's desperate to get, and that's what happened to me in 2010 when I had spinal fusion surgery. I was so desperate that I shut off all of my thinking and just said, let's just have surgery. Let's just have surgery. Sure. Because American culture is go get it fixed.
Right. Right. We've only got about a couple of minutes left, so I want to make sure people are aware of how to find this book, the website that it's on, that it's available on Amazon. So plug the daylights out of this book because, just looking at the list of 36 different treatment opportunities, there's a lot of those that people could just go, okay, I'm going to try that, and then and that, and not spend a lot of money, and kind of work their way through some things to try to figure out what can help them.
Yeah, so this is where you can go. It's on Amazon. It's a digital download for right now. I might turn it into a printed copy, but right now it's easy. It's $8.95.
Oh my gosh!
It's not even 25 cents per.
Per treatment,
per treatment recommendation that I've outlined, right? So it's on Amazon. You can search for it under the name of Spinal Stenosis Treatment, options, spinal stenosis. You'll find it. Or the website, which has a link then to Amazon, is painrelieflist.com. I tried to make it real simple.
Yeah, that's what I went to, and it just takes you right to everything very, very quickly.
Yeah, so the best thing really for all of your listeners is just go to painrelieflist.com.
Great.
Follow along. You'll get to Amazon. You can have it in your online, your digital reader in seconds. And it's a short read. It's just real simple. It's matter of fact. I describe each of the treatments. I give you my personal perspective on it. I outline the costs for each of these. And then my recommendation if I would do it again or what. So
it's more like a handbook.
It is. It really kind of is.
A handbook, a reference book where you can okay, let me he wrote about this. Let me check that out. It's fascinating. The layout is absolutely perfect for people to check out.
Tried to keep it simple.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Gary, thank you so much. This has been a real treat learning about stenosis, back treatments, 36 different options. And folks, go to Pain Relief List. Is it singular? PainReliefList.com?
Yes.
Okay, PainReliefList.com, and that'll take you to where you need to go. Gary, it's been a real pleasure, man. Continued success and continued success on getting back down in that 2, 3, 4 range for an extended period of time.
And I hope that for everybody who has pain relief that they find their way.
You got it. Thank you, Gary.
All right, thank you.
Your 20-minute podcast with David Brower has been brought to you by Audible. You can listen to any of David's podcasts anywhere podcasts can be found, including iHeartRadio, the Spotify mobile app, and at davidbrowervo.com/your20-minute podcast. Until next time, thanks for listening.